What up, Brawlers? Welcome back to Tabletop Never Stop. We are continuing our ongoing series, Know Your Champions, and today we are covering Gwaien, the Gathering Storm. Before we start, brief caveat. Super Fantasy Brawl is still in development, so anything you see here can and probably will change at least a little. So just bear that in mind as we go through these cards. So, Gwaien is a 0 defense, 6 health champion. She's a total glass cannon, and she has a lot of area of effect, long range damage. When Gwaien levels up, she gets no increase to her health or defense, but she does gain, when you activate Gwaien, decrease the minimum range by 1 and increase the maximum range by 1. So a leveled up version of Gwaien will be able to stay even further away from the action, still get damage in. And also, a lot of her attacks actually start at range 2, so she can't use them like point blank. So this would allow her then to blast enemies that are right adjacent to her, which in some cases is almost bad, like in Fireball, but sometimes you just need to get damage through. So it's still a good ability to have. And speaking of Fireball, that takes us to our first card. Red Core, movement of 1, indirect, range 2 to 3, and strength 3. After the attack, deal 2 damage to each champion adjacent to the target. Alright, so Fireball, Gwaien was up 1, does a range 3 strike on Wrath. It's indirect, you can go right over the statue here. So Wrath will take 3 damage, and his adjacent allies will take 2, ignoring their armor of 1 to both have, because Fireball is dealing direct damage. If there had been a friendly champion adjacent to Wrath as well, he would also take 2 damage. So there's some friendly fire issues you have to be aware of with Gwaien. Flame Spear, another red core, movement of 1, straight line, range 3 to 5, 3 strength, and after the attack, push 1. So Flame Spear's range is so long that she can actually snipe across the map with it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so she's in range of Wrath, would do 3 damage, and then additional push damage for a total of 4. Of course, straight lines do get some limitations because it might be harder for her to find the line all the way across the map that way. And because the range starts at 3, if she was closer to the target, she'd actually have to back up in order to hit Wrath here. Chain Lightning, yellow core, movement of 2, straight line, range 2 to 3, 3 strength attack, and after the attack, if damage was dealt, deal 2 damage to a champion within 2 hexes of the target. Alright, so Chain Lightning on to Goldar here. He has a defense of 1, so he still takes 2 damage, which means that Chain Lightning will jump to a target within 2. Now, if Goldar played some reaction that gave him +2 defense, then no damage would get through and the chain wouldn't go. If the only champion within 2 hexes of Goldar was friendly, the damage would get directed to that champion, our ally. And if Gwaien was within 2 of Goldar and she was the only other champion, the damage would actually get directed to her. Ignite, blue core, movement of 2, straight line, range of 2, strength of 2, and after the attack, allies gain +2 strength against the target until the end of the turn. So we've seen these boosting strikes before. This is extremely powerful when coupled with poison or double. It's also really good against attacks that ignore defense or can't be reacted to because you can guarantee damage. This doesn't do anything for Gwaien herself because it's talking about allies, which in this case does not include the champion that's actually playing the card. Arcane Shield, this is Gwaien's reaction. Gives you +2 defense, and if the attacker is not adjacent to the target, an additional +2 defense for a total of 4. So this is about as much defense as we've seen a reaction do. It's very good at protecting from powerful strikes. If poison or doubles in the mix, you can really use this to just not have to deal with it. And of course, as always, reactions can be played on everyone, but this one is kind of tailored to Gwaien because you want to keep her away from the action, which means that there's a decent chance people will be lobbing attacks at her, and now all of a sudden Arcane Shield is really, really good at stopping ranged attacks. Getting the +4 defense is also a good way to kind of guarantee that after effects that trigger if damage was dealt don't trigger, so that's another thing you can do with Arcane Shield. So in some ways, kind of a basic reaction. The idea is stop damage from coming through. Arcane Shield is really good at that. And finally, Teleport, blue core, and then jump 4. So jump of 4. thing to remember about jump is that it does not have to travel in a straight line, unlike cards like swoop and dash that do have to require a straight line. And of course, it ignores everything it goes over, so we can go through this trap or this statue without any problem. Swoop actually does that too, but that's not the point. And that's Gwen. She has amazing capacity to deal out damage. She's fairly delicate. Arcane Shield's a pretty good reaction. If you're looking to just block some damage, it can definitely do that. As far as counterplay goes, I mean, Gwen's pretty killable, so don't leave her around. Might want to watch grouping your guys together as much as possible. That's not something you can't really avoid chain lightning. Keeping your guys not within range 2 of each other at all times is probably too much to ask, but don't leave all 3 of your champions adjacent to each other because they're going to get fireballed. And that concludes today's episode of Know Your Champions. Thanks so much for watching. As always, if you follow me on Instagram, you can vote on which champion will be featured next. And thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one.